Ah, yes, today is Saturday. It's the morning, and my memory takes me back to a time, late 70s, early 1980s, when I was a kid, and how I would be eager and anxious. I'd been waiting all week to get up, to go camp in front of the TV with a bowl of cereal, turn on our old tube TV, and watch Saturday morning cartoons till about 11 a.m., maybe noon. Boy, those are the days. In this video, I'm going to go back and share my favorite 10 Saturday morning cartoons that I used to be the most excited about every week and that I used to love to watch as a kid. Maybe this will refresh some of your memories. I don't know, but I do know one thing, that the cartoons that these kids have today are nothing like they used to be. They're nowhere near as special. They're nowhere near as artistic, and they're just not the same. You know, kids in my generation, kids before my generation that grew up with like even the older cartoons like Mighty Mouse and Popeye and all those good old classics. We had cartoons that blew away the quality of the cartoons made today. And what happened to Saturday morning cartoons? Why did they go away? You know, I understand in the digital age, everybody just tunes into the internet, or everything has, is recorded on DVDs or Blu-rays, and you can watch it anytime you want. But I used to have to get up and watch the Saturday morning cartoons because that was pretty much the only time they played cartoons like that. We didn't have a VCR back in the late 70s and early 80s. I mean, it was the mid 80s, late 80s before we bought one of our first VCRs. And I still remember my father, one of the first VCRs we bought, found such a good deal on one. They had a nice VCR, and this is I think in the late 80s, and it was like a regular price of like $2,400. I mean, it was one of the better ones, but still, can you imagine how much money that would be today? 1986, 1985, whatever it was. He spent $1,200 because it was only half price to get a $2,400 VCR because it was like 6 heads, or I don't remember exactly what the deal was. I mean, it was a nice VCR. But, that was crazy. That would be like $1,200 that he spent even at half price. I think that would be like $2,500, $3,000 today if you looked it up. It would be a ton. Nowadays, everybody just gets on the internet or buys Blu-rays or downloads the stuff or whatever. But so much has changed over the years since I was a kid. But I want to go back in this video and talk about 10 of my favorite cartoons on Saturday morning and why I liked them. And, get your comments below. What cartoons have you guys liked as kids? What cartoons do you guys remember liking? Maybe some of these will spark some of your memory. And you can comment and say, oh, yeah, that was my favorite too. Whatever it is, I'd like to hear what you liked down below as well. Well, let's go ahead and start off my top 10 Saturday morning cartoons when I was a kid. All right. At number 10, we have the Smurfs. I remember these blue little guys, cute. They was always into antics, always getting in trouble, especially with a human, that old man. I can't remember a lot about it, but I do remember tuning into the Smurfs. It wasn't one of my favorites, but I think it made my top 10 just because I used to watch it and my sisters used to love it. Coming in at number 9 on Saturday mornings, I still remember this one. I think it came on, I can even remember the time, 9 a.m. I believe. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Now, I know that a lot of the USA type channels and Cartoon Network or whatever still plays these old episodes today. So yeah, one of my favorites, definitely made my top 10, was good old Scooby-Doo. Coming in at number 8 was the Flintstones. Hey, who didn't like Wilma and Fred Flintstone? I mean, Barney and Pebbles, and oh man, those were good times. The prehistoric cartoon of the ages. Yeah, the good old Flintstones. Always full of laughs. Wilma and Fred, especially Fred, he was so funny. Barney, Yeah, I used to love the Flintstones, and that made my number 8. Coming in at number 7, even ahead of the Flintstones, was an older cartoon that I used to love even more. It was futuristic, and it was the Jetsons. Yeah, I used to love the Jetsons and how he was, out in space and had everything all computerized and computer. I used to love computers and electronics and stuff like that in the future. So I definitely think that's why I like this more than the Flintstones. Was just because it was kind of space age and had all the cool gadgets, and these guys were just the cool future family that couldn't be. What's funny and ironic about the about the Jetsons is that now, as we are today, we pretty much have a lot of these things that used to be in a lot of those old Jetsons cartoons from, that were made 50 years ago. Kind of funny. Number 6. Inspector Gadget. Oh yeah, used to love a good old Inspector Gadget. And I think I can remember him coming on around 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm not real sure, but used to love good old Inspector Gadget. He always went on these like 30-minute mysteries and had that girl and that dog, and they would go and figure out crimes and who stole something dumb like a dog bone from the neighbor's yard or whatever. I mean, it was always stupid little mysteries that they solved, but it was really cool as a kid. Back in the late 70s, early 80s, I mean, you just wasn't cool if you didn't like Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids. Now, this was back in a time when the Cosby Show was getting popular, especially in the early 80s. So, to have Fat Albert and the Cosby Kids that kind of linked up with the TV show was just awesome. And I used to love good old Fat Albert. Those were the days. Now, my fourth favorite cartoon as a kid might be a surprise to a lot of you, probably a little less popular, but it was Spider-Man and his amazing friends. Now, this cartoon I know was in the early 80s, but I used to love Spider-Man as a kid. I mean, they didn't have the good Spider-Man movies they have now when I was a kid. The best thing I had for a movie was those old made-for-TV Spider-Man movies, where it was so cheesy. If you go back and watch those, it had the cheesiest music and had that guy, and he would dress up as Spider-Man. You could totally tell it was a costume, and his webs were actually like nylon ropes, like really thick nylon ropes, and you could totally tell it was a rope. I mean, just no special effects at all. Horrible special effects, but horrible acting as well. But that was the only thing I had for a movie. So I read my Spider-Man comics as a kid, and this was my best way to escape into fantasy land and cartoon land with Spider-Man. And I loved Iceman and Firestar too. I thought they made quite a team, and just epic battles against some of the super villains that Spider-Man had, like the Green Goblin and Sandman and Electro and all those guys. So. Yeah, I bet you this show would still be good, and kids would, that like Spider-Man would still like this show today. But definitely one of my favorites was Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. Check it out if you haven't ever seen it, if you're a Spider-Man fan. Coming in at number 3, my favorite Saturday morning cartoons, or, favorite cartoons as a kid, was good old Tom and Jerry. These cartoons are classic. These cartoons are still going to be being played 100 years from now. Assuming we live that long as humans on Earth, as long as there's humans still existing 100 years from now, I guarantee you there will be TV stations still playing those good old classic Tom and Jerry cartoons. Cat and the Mouse, I mean, this cartoon had it all. Just hilarious, especially watching Jerry, the mouse, just fool Tom and get him in the craziest positions. Poor old Tom always getting in trouble going after that mouse and could never catch him. Hilarious cartoon. And I mean, I still enjoy this cartoon as an adult. It's a great one. Coming in at number 2 was that old Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner TV show. I mean, it was mostly Bugs Bunny, but they had, Daffy Duck and Sylvester and Elmer Fudd and Porky Pig and Tweety Bird, and oh man, what a TV show that was, and you never knew what cartoon was going to show next. But I bet you, as a kid growing up watching that old Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner show, I bet you I saw every Bugs Bunny and Elmer Fudd and Sylvester cartoon. I bet you I saw each one 40, 50 times at least. I mean, I got to where I knew them by heart. But I love the show, and I believe it lasted either like 2 or 2.5 hours every Saturday morning. And they would show nothing but, just constant those 5 to 7 minute cartoons. And I think sometimes they'd show 2 in a row between commercial breaks, and I used to love that show. I used to love some of those old classic cartoons. Good old Bugs Bunny. I mean, you can't beat him. Again, another cartoon that's just, awesome to watch today. So what made number 1? By far, my favorite cartoon series of all time. And I'm sure this is going to go along with a lot of people, and a lot of people are going to remember this one because this is definitely a popular one. But I used to laugh so hard and could watch these over and over and over and over and over 100 times and never get tired of the Roadrunner. The Roadrunner was so great. Such amazing, hilarious antics that Wile E. Coyote got in trying to catch that bird. I mean, you had to feel sorry for the coyote because he never could catch the Roadrunner and always wound up falling off cliffs, rocks landed on his head, springing himself up, trying to use those Acme, gadgets to try to catch the Roadrunner, everything from explosive bird seed that he would put out, and it was just hilarious, some of the stuff that he would do, and watching him. And I could watch those things 1,000 times and never get tired of it. In fact, the Roadrunner still cracks me up today. It is that good. So, if you guys are watching this show and you guys haven't ever seen some of these cartoons, especially if you haven't ever seen this old classic Roadrunner show, find this. I'm sure you can find the Roadrunner on a Blu-ray or DVD or online somewhere. But some of those Roadrunner cartoons are amazing. And again, this is the kind of cartoon that will still be good 100 years from now. Just awesome writing, and Chuck Jones, I remember it always say written by Chuck Jones and stuff like that. I don't remember if it was drawn by him, or I believe it was written by him, but I just remember it only saying Chuck Jones on it, and for that, I always loved Chuck Jones, and I was like, whoever this guy is, I loved him. But the Roadrunner definitely made my number 1 list. So I want to go ahead and thank you guys for watching this video. Hopefully it's brought back some memories for some of you older people, like myself, that maybe watched cartoons back as a kid, back in the same kind of generation. Or if you're, younger and you haven't heard of some of these cartoons, maybe it'll spark your interest in going back and researching and doing what it takes to find some of these old cartoons and give them a watch. I think that, some of these cartoons, even the younger generation would have to agree that some of these cartoons are way better than the junk they have on, the Cartoon Network and some of these newer cartoons that they've made since 2000 or so. But yeah, it's not often we talk about old TV shows, especially old cartoons, but I thought that some of those old classics deserved a video on my channel. So let me know what you guys think. Maybe I missed a big one that maybe I loved. I mean, my memory is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and I'm sure there's a couple of cartoons that I loved that I've left out here. But let me know what y'all's favorite Saturday morning cartoons were, especially if you kind of grew up and watched cartoons in the same time frame, the late 70s, early 80s. By the late 80s I was getting to be a teenager. I was too cool to watch cartoons, but it was just a different time back then. Like I say, kids that wanted to watch cartoons, you pretty much had to get up Saturday mornings and watch them, or you would miss them for the week. There wasn't a lot of other ways to watch cartoons if your family couldn't afford a VCR, or you didn't have a VCR or whatever. We didn't have computers back then. It's just a completely different world than it is today. But anyway, I wanted to go ahead and share that with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If so, please leave me a thumbs up down below. Let me know that you liked it. That does a lot for me to let me know you guys like this video, and it'll encourage me to make more videos, like this on my channel in the future. Also, if you want to get notification of all my future videos right here on my channel, be sure you subscribe to me up in the top right. By subscribe now, click that little link. And that way you get notification every time I put out a new video, whether it be about a new video game review or whether it be something like this or whatever it is. You'll have a notification and you can choose to watch it at that point or say, nah, I don't want to watch that. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a great day and enjoy your next Saturday morning. Take care, everybody.